What's up? Welcome to the Robin's Nest. I want to talk about a couple of things today. In particular, my thoughts on the Formula One race, and then some NASCAR news. And then I want to talk about a particular plant in Michigan that's in the final stages of demolition. So, let's get into it. Alright, so for those that don't know, and I made a post about this the other day on YouTube. The Packard plant, Michigan, announced last week that it's in its final stages of demolition. They've been working on it for a couple years now. For those who don't know, Packard is a car manufacturer, was a car manufacturer during the turn of the previous century. They made luxury cars, for wealthy people. And they were beautiful, beautiful cars. One of my favorite brands, actually. After World War II, they ended up merging with Studebaker. And then Studebaker eventually phased out the Packard nameplate, essentially by just taking Studebaker badges and slapping them on Packard models. But that's what ended up happening. The plant, Packard left when they merged with Stud, if I'm not mistaken. And then there were different tenants in the plant in and out over the years. I think in 94, 93, somewhere around that time frame, the city came in and purchased the property, or seized the property, something along those lines. Anyways, what it all boils down to is the last tenant left, I think, in 2010, and the property sat vacant forever. And you had your tenants in and out, but no one was ever using the entire facility. This place was massive. So a large portion of it just has sat abandoned for decades. And it turned into a garbage dump. And the walls were all gone out of the buildings. Stuff was falling down. I think the water tower fell down a couple of years, well, not a couple of years, quite a few years ago. And so there was a Spanish investor who came in and bought the property, I think in 2013, 2014. He bought it at auction. I think he paid back taxes on it, something like $400,000 in that ballpark. And they started posting on social media that they were going to come in and they were going to clean up the buildings because structurally the buildings were still pretty much fine. At the very least, the administration building was. And so they did. They came in, they cleaned it up, and there's no walls, like I said, for the most part. But the marble floor and everything was still there. Staircase was gorgeous, looked like something out of the Titanic. And so they were posting pictures of all that, and I'm assuming that either he or his investors, because good and well he didn't spend his own money on purchasing the property. There was other people behind the scenes that were investing into it, because he kept saying it was going to be mixed use property with different retail stores and things of that nature. And so anyways, the well dried up and the city came in and took the property a few years ago, and they've been wanting to demolish it because it's been a haven for vandals and homeless people, drug addicts, and then dumping garbage, which is it's a shame because of the history of that place. But last week they came out and announced that they're in the final stages of tearing it down. So it's a shame. It's a shame. But I just want to give a little nod to Packard because it's not really talked about that much nowadays. But man, those cars were fantastic. Prior to the merge with Stud, I don't really look at them as pure Packards at that point. Just my personal opinion. But everything pre-merger, I think the merger happened in the early 50s. Those cars were fantastic. On another front, I want to talk about Formula One this weekend at Qatar. Qatar, however you want to say it. So everyone's been giving FIA a hard time over the past couple of weeks because they've been firing people that have disagreed with Ben, the president, allegedly. And so the drivers have wanted more open communication between themselves and FIA. FIA clamped down on cussing in interviews, and drivers got their feelings hurt about that. And then Ben came out prior to the race this weekend and said that it's not the driver's business. I mean, he's not wrong. You know, he said that the FIA doesn't ask the drivers about what's going on inside their teams, so there's no reason for the drivers to ask the FIA what's going on inside the FIA. Maybe there could be better transparency on certain things, but as far as structurally, I mean, it's not their business. It's really not. I don't like to side with governing bodies, but I will on that one because, I mean, he's right. So, anyways, the Grand Prix was kind of a cluster. I mean, it went well up until one of the drivers lost a mirror. The mirror fell on the front stretch going into turn 1. It was run over and exploded. So shrapnel all over the racetrack. And then Lewis and I believe it's Carlos Sainz ran through it and got punctures and ruined their races. But the debris sat on the track for like 3 or 4 laps before a safety car was issued, meaning that the race director had his head up as you know what. I mean, why would you... The cameras showed it as plain as day. It was a minefield, essentially. We gonna do anything about it? Nope. Let's just let everybody run through there and get punctures and ruin the races. Okay, so everyone online is bashing the FIA for that. Why can't we just bash the race director? I'm not sure how that all works out if he's part of the FIA. I'm assuming that he is, but you can just bash the race director. It's not all of FIA's fault that this particular person made a bad decision. Let's be real about it. But the race was, outside of that, pretty boring. You know, a couple of wrecks. But to me, I've always been of the opinion that wrecks don't make good racing. I know that's unpopular with NASCAR nowadays because they would just assume wreck the entire field all afternoon. And that's good entertainment for them. But no, I don't like seeing wrecked race cars. I like wheel-to-wheel action. You know, but it takes talent to pass someone without running them over. It's not the etiquette in racing nowadays with these younger dudes that are coming up. Not all of them, but a lot of them. They just don't have respect for what they're doing or anyone else on the racetrack. And so we'll just barrel it off into a corner. If it sticks, it sticks. If not, we're going to take 3 cars out, whatever. We'll be back next race. That's just, it's nonsense. It shouldn't be that way. But, and you could see it. I think the first accident during the Grand Prix was a bona fide accident. You know, one of the Haas cars got a little sideways under acceleration. Back the car stepped out, hit Esteban, knocked him over into the kid that drives for Williams. I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but and then they all crashed. But then coming out of the corner, Alex Albon got turned around, and that was what I'm talking about. There was no sense in any of that happening. It's a little give and take, especially on lap 1. I mean, lap 1, and we're going to be running each other over, ruining the race. I hate seeing that kind of stuff. I really do. Bill McAnally, I don't know if this is the final truck that he's going to run in the truck series, but he's announced another hire for next year. Excuse my messenger going off. Connor Mozak's going to drive full time for him. I do like this pick better than the other 2 that he's announced already, Daniel Hemrick and Tyler Ankrum. Connor's run a handful of Xfinity races over the past couple of years, and I believe trucks as well. Everything he's been in, he's been pretty quick. I think he's driven for Sam Hunt a couple of times, and so I think that's going to bear fruit eventually. It may not right out of the gate, but I think it eventually will. So I'm excited about that. Excited to see what happens. And for anyone who follows my channel, you know that I'm not crazy about modern NASCAR, but the truck series is awesome, and it always will be. It would take some serious screwing up for it to go south. I don't like the playoffs, but the racing is just so good that even with playoffs and stages, it's watchable. When they have respect for one another. You know, that crap that happened at Phoenix year before, or last year, was a joke. Um, but excluding all that nonsense, it's pretty awesome. So also, we binged this new show on Netflix called Senna, about Ayrton Senna, the Formula One driver from 70s, 80s, and early 90s, was killed in 94. Or he may not have been a driver in the 70s. I'm not exactly sure. But anyways, everyone knows who Ayrton Senna is. And so I'd read some of the reviews before we watched it, and the reviews were mixed. Now, admittedly so, when we started watching it, and we had it where it was in English, and straight out of the gate you could tell that it wasn't filmed in English, because, you know, they had voiceovers and it was obvious. So we just turned it on to what it was originally filmed in, which was Portuguese, up until about halfway through the show. It's a mini-series, I think it's like 4 or 5 episodes. About halfway through, when Ayrton comes to Europe and he eventually learns English, and then they switch over, you know. But particularly the beginning when he's in Brazil and he's coming up and he's learning and all that kind of stuff, most of it's in Portuguese. I would highly recommend, if you do watch it, leave it in Portuguese and just read the subtitles if you don't know Portuguese. I don't know Portuguese, so I just put it, you know, subtitles and just read. But if you can get past that, it's actually a pretty good show. Now, I mean, some of the acting, it's not the greatest. Some of the special effects and CGI. I hate CGI in car shows, car movies, normally. But it's understandable. I mean, in this particular case, you can't have millions of dollars worth of old school Formula One cars thrashing around a racetrack, hitting each other, just to make a show that, you know good and well, didn't have a massive budget to start with. So I understand that. So I give them a pass on that. You know, some of the CGI stuff could use a little bit of work, but I don't particularly know what the budget was. But I'm assuming it wasn't high, you know, in context of what shows normally do, especially on Netflix. But it's a pretty good flick. Now, like I said, we binged it, so I watched the whole thing in one night, and it's really good. Worth the watch, at least. I mean, what else is there to watch as far as that kind of stuff goes? I mean, dramas based around something automotive are few and far between, and usually when we do get one, it's not that great. So the ones that are at least halfway decent is worth watching. So check that out. But that's really about it. So I'm going to go into this too. We have an eBay account. Okay, we sell auto parts, old NASCAR t-shirts, old NASCAR hats, die-cast cars, a whole bunch of stuff. Okay. So the way that, I don't know if anybody knows this or not, but the way that eBay works is they give you 250 free listings per month if you don't have a subscription to eBay. So if you're just a normal user and you come on there and you have an account, you have 250 free listings every month. You don't have to pay any fees to list them. Okay. And that's every month. Every month. So I noticed the other day, we hadn't posted anything in a couple of days, and Sunday was the first day of the month. We're down to 168 listings, and we haven't listed anything. So I called them last night, and they're like, well, we've got this new thing. If you don't have a store membership, everything that automatically renews that you've already got listed will come out of your 250 free listings per month. Which makes absolutely no sense. Because if that were actually the case, you couldn't post more than 250 products, period. At all, ever. Unless you wanted to pay for all the other ones. Because every time they come around to automatic renewal, if your 250 are already eaten up, you're going to start paying for it. And apparently that's been happening. And we just weren't on top of it. So, point is, we started a website, and that's going to be our new bread and butter, rather than relying solely on eBay. We also have a Macari account, and but the website is through Shopify, so it's a Shopify website, but we have our own domain. I'm going to put the link in the description, and I'm in the process of transferring everything from eBay over. So just bear with me. I think right now we've got 80 something items listed. Well, we've got like 2,000 listed on eBay. So it's a slow process. I'm having to do each one individually because I don't like the way when you do like mass export from eBay to Shopify. Shopify cuts stuff out of the description, or it makes errors and stuff like that. So bear with us. We're working on that. And but I'm going to put the link in the description. So go check that out. If you see something you want, see something you're interested in, shoot me an offer. Shoot me an offer, and we'll go from there. And but yeah, that's where we're at. I hate to do that because eBay really is easy to. It's a lot easier than running a website. All the stuff on the back end, basically eBay takes care of on its own. You don't really have to do anything, especially with the shipping, services, and all that kind of stuff. And then when you have your own website, you have to go in and do all that. And so, anyways. But we're in the process of getting that up and going completely. So, like I said, check it out. Also, keep an eye out. We're going to release another WRC video here in the next couple of days, as well as another NASCAR video as well. So I need to finish up 2004. I know I've been saying that we're going to do it, and it's been like a week or so since I posted the last one, but I'm going to finish it up. It's going to be coming in the next couple of days, so keep an eye out. Outside of that, thanks for watching. I appreciate it, and we'll see you next time. Peace.